Okay, are we back? Are we ready to talk all things membership? This is going to be so.
Yes.
I mean, it might be more exciting than the database. I don't know. It's going to be probably a toss up, but we'll try to make it more exciting. All right. Let me get my screen sharing going on here. Can everybody see it? We're doing good? All right. Okay, cool. So all things membership. So some of this stuff may obviously be information that you already know, but we do have a lot of new people here. And I feel like anytime we talk about this stuff, we learn little nuggets. You know, it's an opportunity for us to share information or, you know, kind of reiterate some points here and there. So bear with me. If you already know it, that's cool, but we'll make some points. And if you have any questions, just raise your hand and or give a shout out. All right, so this is pretty basic, but again, I just want to go over it. But producer member, and the reason I want to talk about a producer member is our producer members are our voting members. They are individuals or family units who are actively engaged in or derive a portion of their business income from production agriculture. So these are the people that vote. These are the people that hold office. These are the people that should be your county farm bureau board of directors. And really this definition is from our bylaws. And so this, in this situation, when you talk about defining a membership category, actually the state bylaws trumps the county bylaws. So this is even the definition for your county farm bureau. So as you guys are looking over your membership lists, please keep this in mind. If you see associate members that should be voting members, or vice versa, it is within your authority to reclassify those members. So that said, also a membership is a family membership that has two names on each membership. There's two names allowed. So family is a head of the family, a spouse, and dependent children under 25. There's been a couple instances lately where we have had a young farmer and rancher member that wants to, that's over the age of 25, that wants to just be on their parents' membership. And that is not allowed within our structure of our organization. You could have a dad and a son, you know, a dad and a daughter. You could have two brothers on a membership, but just remember there's only two names on the membership. And yes, you can't have children on the membership, but they have to be under 21 to be actually categorized as a member, a true member. Associate members, these are members that basically are not involved in production agriculture. Anybody that's not involved in production agriculture that has an insurance package policy, they pay associate member dues. So $50 a year for associate members. I want to reiterate that these members cannot vote and these members cannot hold office. So if you have somebody that you want to get involved in your county, they need to be a voting member to be on your county board of directors or actively involved or voting on policy. So your county has to go through that motion to approve them to be a voting member if you so choose. But again, associate members cannot hold office or vote. A student member, which is new, this last year and then kind of clarified this year. This is new from our bylaws. Student members also cannot vote or hold office. And students are anybody who is college aged and wants to receive all the benefits. They would receive the publications, they would receive member benefits, they would receive meeting notifications, things like that. If there is a college student that wants to be actively involved in your county farm bureau, on your board of directors, they need to go ahead and pay the voting membership. So they're welcome to pay the voting membership. It's just that if they pay the $25 per year student membership, they are not eligible to vote or hold office. And Century Club members. If anybody has oh, Nicole's just like protecting her face from the sun.
Yes.
That's good. It means the sun is there. Century Club members, these are people who choose to pay an additional amount above the standard dues, and their amount above the standard dues goes to legal and legislative efforts. So we will cover the breakdown of membership next. All right. Again, this will be shared if you ever want to reference back to this, or if you want a copy of this to explain to your board of directors, just let us know. But this is the breakdown of dues dollars for each membership category. So voting members, $20 stays with the county, 60 goes to MFBF. Of that 60, no wait. Okay, yeah, 60 stays with MFBF and 5 goes to the American Farm Bureau. Same with associates. Here's the breakdown of numbers. I'll kind of cruise through this pretty fast. American Farm Bureau dues are $5. So every membership in the Montana Farm Bureau, $5 goes to the American Farm Bureau. Same with, so student member, they get to choose which county. So if we've got a kid here from Stanford at MSU and he joins, $5 will go to Judith Basin County. Okay, and if anybody has any questions, just please shout out. But I wanted to point out Century Club. So you can see that $20 of the Century Club, if it's voting membership, $20 of that Century Club stays with your county, just like at voting. Century Club is anything above a voting membership goes to the legal and legislative. Okay, so there is a gap in, if you, like for myself, I'm an associate Century Club member of Richland County, actually. And so the difference between an associate member and a voting member goes to the county farm bureau. So it's really financially beneficial for you guys to recruit associate Century Club members. Associate Century Club members can be agribusinesses in your communities, and or just people that are not involved in production agriculture, but care about what the Farm Bureau is doing for agriculture. So very lucrative for a county Farm Bureau to be recruiting associate Century Club members, because you get a large chunk of money that stays in the county. All right, so just as the case of what goes to MFBF is the same, voting versus associate are those two different numbers, as you can see. $5 goes to the American Farm Bureau. And then you can kind of see the breakdown of the dollar amounts that go to our legal and legislative funds or fund. And again, that funds any of our activities in Helena and also lawsuits, things like that we get involved in. Anybody have any questions on distribution of dues dollars? Okay, moving right along. All right, so just to understand the way our billing cycle works, our fiscal year is October 1 to September 30. Many of you may remember, but some of you, if you are new, don't remember this. Back in November of 2016, we used to be on an annual billing cycle. Everybody was due on October 1. There was a bylaws change that switched us from an annual membership dues renewal date to an anniversary date. So if a new member joined in June, they got one full year. So basically what this bullet point is clarifying is that anybody that was a member prior to November of 16, they have an October 1 due date. If they are a new member after October of 2016, they have an anniversary date. So they're, you know, basically our membership eventually will be spread out over 12 months as opposed to you know, I don't know what it is, Scott, like probably 80% of our members are October. Yeah, okay. So anniversary date billing process is really what we're working off of. So just so that you know when dues notices go out. So dues notices go out 2 months ahead of their anniversary date renewal. So in the case of an October 1, they go out August 1, and so on and so forth. So dues notices go out 2 months prior. Members will be considered delinquent if not paid by their membership month expiration date, which is basically they get, you know, if I have an April 1 due date, or if I have an April 5th due date, I have until the end of April to pay my dues before I'm considered a delinquent member. Hopefully that's clear as mud. A second billing for non-insureds only will go in the mail at the end of the month of their anniversary date month. Correct, Scott? Yep. Okay. So if I have not renewed by April 30th, a second, and I don't have insurance, a second notice will come out of this office to those members. If I do have insurance and I have not paid, that's what this last bullet, members who have a Mountain West Mutual Insurance Company policy, they are urged to pay with their dues. So if you are talking to your members, really, we want members paying with the Federation membership dues. But if they do not, there is a process in place for those dues to be added on to those customers' insurance premium. Scott, do you want to say anything about follow up with that with Mountain West?
Sure. So Atlas is now synced with Mountain West Farm Bureau's data system, and flags come up if a member who has an active policy becomes expired. They have to do it differently a little bit because of Wyoming law, but 45 days after that expiration date, and they still are not a paid up member of Montana Farm Bureau, Mountain West will put their dues on their next premium notice. So it'll just be a line item on that bill. They will collect those dues and then send them to us. So that's basically how that works.
Does anybody have any question about our billing process or cycle? And Scott, also clarify, these guys are charged, counties are charged for their membership billing. Are they then charged for the second notice?
They're not charged for the second notice, and county farm bureaus pay half of the overall cost of the first notice. And that was something that we decided to do as a state because they're our member too. That's been about 5 years ago. We pay half of that notice and the county farm bureaus are asked to pay half.
And that's one of the things that Diana will bill for. And also one of the things that if you have Farm Bureau bucks, you can use your Farm Bureau bucks toward your membership billing as well. Any invoice that comes from Farm Bureau. Anybody have questions on the, again, I can't see the chat. So you guys, the rest of the M team just has to shout out if somebody's saying something. All right, cool. All right, so next is the county transmittals, and I'm gonna pass this off to Tara because this is part of her work with your members.
All right, so I'm back with more super fun stuff. So about once a month, counties will get a direct deposit into the County Farm Bureau account for that breakdown, that money that you get for your memberships that have come into the office that I've processed. And so right around that same time that it hits the bank, you should also be getting an email from me that will include the report basically breaking down what that check consists of. And then I will also send you an email, like a letter in that email, and it'll explain, the period that this is covering. If I attach any other documents to that email, which sometimes happens, sometimes doesn't, sometimes we'll include more information that you might need for that particular month. And I'll explain those out. And then I'll also start to explain if there is any county or state updates or reminders about anything, especially with this year, with things changing so last second. I did a lot of, oh, we're not doing this, or we're not doing this. And that's a really good line of communication from me to you guys. And then also, besides you guys, the secretaries being on those emails, the county farm bureau president will be on them. And then your regional managers, your district directors will get those. And so if anyone else needs that information, obviously feel free to forward it to them, but that's who gets them from me. And then if you can see on the PowerPoint, this is an example of kind of that report that I will be attaching to those emails. It will basically be broken down between the years that are included. And so especially around this time of year, we are still getting some late 2020 dues, but also we're getting people who are paying for their 2021 dues. And so you can see really nicely on here from the two columns that it's broken down between those 2 years so that you are able to see that. And then up there at the top, that's another kind of reiteration of what that period is. So for this one, this would be for Carbon-Stillwater counties, November 1st and November 30th, those people who paid. And then back on the columns, you'll see there is little boxes, and if they're a new member, those little boxes will be checked. And so you can see right there, there's a couple of new members on that report. And then you obviously have all their information, the member, name and address and phone number and whatnot. And then on the right-hand side, you'll see that it will break it down by class. So that'll be associate voting or student membership. And that will be important for you guys to look at, because that's going to be the list that you look at when you kind of evaluate especially these new members coming in. And kind of Sue Ann touched on it before, and then I think Scott's going to touch on it again. But you want to double check and make sure that these people are classified correctly, and especially if they're new. Because it does happen where, people with agriculture income will mistakenly get classified as an associate member for one reason or another. And so the county has the power to change those. And so we want to obviously stay up to date on those, because if you've got someone who's a farmer or a rancher in your county, you want to make sure that they know they're a voting member and that, they have a vote at your county farm bureau. And then lastly, on the very end there, you can just see the number breakdown and exactly how much you're getting on each membership dues and the total.
I'll add to Tara, just quickly for a second, how that you would let us know if a person is associate and should be voting. You can just let us know at your county farm bureaus determine that person should be a voting member, and we'll change it in our database. At that point, it's really up to the county farm bureau how they want to handle it. If the person has already paid their current dues and the county farm bureau says, okay, they should be voting, let's make sure they get billed correctly in the next membership year, we'll leave it at that. If you prefer that, you think, no, this person should be voting right now, then we'll ask the county farm bureau to collect that difference between the $50 and the $85. But we're going to always leave that up to the county farm bureau, because you know your member and you know how it's best to handle that situation. If they were billed as an associate, they should be voting. Maybe that wasn't their fault. Maybe you don't feel like that you should require them to pay that extra $35 this year, but we'll make sure that they get billed correctly in the upcoming membership year. And also this is oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
This is a new report. You probably haven't seen this one before. Tara and I expended every little bit of political capital that we had to get this report changed and a little bit easier with the Farm Bureau Development Corporation. So this is what the report will look like that you'll get going forward.
And I'll also note that a member cannot go in and change themselves. when they pay. That's correct. I'll let Tara talk about that, but it's basically like if I've been an associate member and I've changed jobs and you want me involved because I'm your new feed salesman, you got to call the state office to get that change. I can't jump in, change my stuff, and pay $150 tomorrow. Correct.
That is correct. Although new in the system now, you could jump up from a voting member, an associate member to an associate century club or a voting century club. So we will let the person upgrade if they wish.
Okay, so can an associate upgrade to a voting?
I'm sorry, no, they cannot do that. They could only upgrade to an associate century club.
Does anybody have any questions on county transmittals or information from the state office to the counties? Okay. So some of this Tara already covered. And basically it's the importance of reviewing these lists. So these lists aren't just, for fun to file away, to, delete or anything like that. It's really important to share these lists and take time at a county board meeting to review them. And again, just like Tara said, you guys have the authority to approve memberships, to deny memberships, to say they're voting or associate, or they should move up. This was part of kind of Scott's database talk, and that is, especially with the ease of the database now and how easy they've made it to sort these new members out within the database, sending them a personal welcome letter is a really nice touch from the County Farm Bureau. They'll receive information from the State Farm Bureau, but it's nothing like if there's somebody in their local community that's saying, thank you for you paying your dues and we'd love to, get you involved. So consider that. And also always be working with your local insurance agents. If you feel like you have an example of somebody that, wasn't classified right, or you just want to talk to them, it's always a good idea to be in good communication with your insurance office and go in and talk to them about, how your bylaws state, or, what the scenario is, and or what your County Farm Bureau feels like is your, kind of deciding factor when it comes to voting versus associate. So just be in communication. Always a good idea to be in good communication with your insurance agents and their staff. And then also, I just wanted, from my perspective as the Young Farmer and Rancher coordinator, I love to see young people getting involved. I hope that you take the opportunity to kind of denote who young YF&R age members are. Make sure that you're sharing their names with your local YF&R chair to get them involved at the local level. The database is not perfect. So we don't collect date of birth. This is not information. So really only if they tell us if they're YF&R, which they can set that as a preference, a communication preference, I think. If they tell us that they have YF&R interest, then we know that. But otherwise, I would love it if you guys were communicating with your regional managers, or even myself, regional managers, sorry, that this is a young person, and, we will make sure that they are getting information about our Young Farmer and Rancher events, the competitions, just different things available when we have conferences or tours or things like that. So we want to be able to communicate with them. So if you have a YF&R, please let us know, because it's not inherently in our database that we know that they're YF&R. Now that we have a student membership, it's easier for us to identify collegiates, but we're still working on making sure that we're getting a higher number of our college students to be student members. So, all right, and then just again, throughout the course of the year, you can either create these reports yourself, or your regional manager will provide you reports. But it is so important to work your delinquent member list, your retention list. So often, many people just have forgotten, misplaced it. You know, if nobody asks them, they don't renew. But it's oftentimes, if you make a personal call or reach out in a personal way, you can get those county members back fast. So I know that your regional managers are probably always encouraging you to do that, but it honestly, working these membership lists and membership recruitment and retention should always be at the top of a county farm bureau's priorities for their program of work. Okay, now we're going to talk about some county agreements. Scott, I'll hand it to you.
Thank you, Sue Ann. So a couple of agreements that in which we get a lot of questions regarding those agreements are the county office agreement and then the uniform membership agreement between a county farm bureau and Montana Farm Bureau. So I'd just like to spend a little bit of time on this. And Carol Signonis asked the question about the county office support numbers, and that's in reference to this agreement. A little bit of background. In each county farm bureau in which Mountain West Farm Bureau is established a storefront or a county office, we are asking, and Mountain West is asking the county farm bureau to contract with that individual agent for a couple of reasons. One is that agent is, with that contract, is bound to provide financial services to the members of your county farm bureau. And then they also help recruit new members, which is great. That's the majority of our recruitment these days. But the agreement also stipulates what you as a county farm bureau should be getting for that agreement. And one of them is meeting space. So you're allowed to have meeting space at a county farm bureau office if you wish. Also use of their internet during meetings if you wish, and and staff services within reason. And what's in reason? Well, I'll leave that up to you and to negotiate that with your county agents and staff. But I thought one great example was that for a long time, the office managers in Cascade County, when a member would call up before their annual meeting, that office manager and staff would tell them the date and location of the annual meeting for the Cascade County Farm Bureau. So, some great cooperation there, but you can ask some reasonable amount of service between yourself as a county farm bureau and that staff in that office. Some questions that we get sometimes are should I be contracting with every agent? Well, no, only the agents that have a office open in your county farm bureau. But yes, if they do have and are working out of that office, we would like you to have a contract. And I can share this contract with you or your county president as well. But what the agent gets then is financial support from the county farm bureau. And this is what Carol was talking about. You can do one of two options within that contract. You can negotiate a flat fee. So per year, your county wants to pay X amount of dollars for that office support. And our vice president for the win today coming into the office, Cindy, thank you very much. Merry Christmas. She just made my day. Anyway, or you can pay 1/3 of the county portion of the dues that you receive. So 1/3 of that 20 you receive for voting and 1/3 of the 12 that you receive for associates. Now, counties are asked to, and by contract, although the agents being the great partners they are, they're not sticklers on this, but you're required to or asked to repay that within 60 days of the end of the membership year. This is kind of falls by the wayside sometimes. I would like County Farm Bureau to request those numbers of me because some have negotiated different fees. Some just pay the 1/3. I don't always know, but if you request those numbers for me, then we can establish that and I'll provide those. Okay, go ahead with the uniform membership agreement if you don't mind, Sue Ann. So uniform membership agreement is basically the legal relationship that binds Montana Farm Bureau to your county farm bureau. And it does a couple of things. One of that's very important, it establishes who's responsible for the protection of the Farm Bureau marks for which we receive royalties for, and are very, very important. The county farm bureau won't have to deal with that very often. But that membership agreement also dictates the hierarchy for policy. So whether it's a county policy or whether it's a state policy, and it binds the County Farm Bureau to support that policy on a statewide level unless you go through a very specific dissension process, which is also in that agreement. In a nutshell, basically, it's the legal relationship between us and you, and it is really important. Now, all county farm bureaus currently have one that's signed, but a lot of them are extremely out of date. And so your regional managers have those agreements and were provided to you in 2019. If you don't have a copy of that, or if you haven't signed it, we would ask you guys to go over that at your next board meeting and review it and get that to us if it's agreeable to you.
Okay, that was a lot. Does anybody have any questions about membership?
I do. Scott, how do I get one of the agent? We have a new agent and I don't have a contract.
Yes, good question. Mountain West is asking those agents to follow up with you. It's really their onus to get that contract signed between them and you. And, you know, in reality, if they have not done that, you do not have to pay them off of support, although I don't think that that would be a good practice, just because they are providing services. But it's really on the onus of that agent to get that signed with you. If they've not done so, that's probably a pretty good you know, step for a county farm bureau to take to better relations to get that signed with that agent. But I know it's not happening as much as it should because the agents that's kind of fallen by the wayside. It's not on their radar. But we've got a copy of it. We can provide it for you, and I'll probably just send it out as part of a notice when we have the videos from the session available so that you have that in your back pocket.
That'd be great. Thank you.
You bet.
I have a comment more for Sue Ann with I know that I have a situation in my county where there was former collegiate members that are now living in Fergus County that I had no idea that I should be approaching them. So is there any way that you can contact counties, and neither one of these people were from my county to begin with, so it was hard to figure out, but it's nice to be able to approach people that you know have been involved in collegiate 4A or Farm Bureau and be able to tap into them for new memberships in your own county. And I don't know if there's a way of tracking where those kids go or those people go, or if there's some kind of a system we can put forth so that we know to contact people, even if they were members of my county that have been in collegiate YF and R that may be coming back to my county.
Yeah, so this has been, you know, really what started the student membership, because this has been so kind of complicated and difficult. I do have a master spreadsheet of, to be honest, mostly MSU. Well, all MSU, to be honest. So MSU Collegiate YFNR has been here since 04. And so I mean, I have a master list. Probably some of those 04 people have fallen off a little bit, but, and there was a point, and I hope regional managers back me up here, that I was sharing this big kind of hairy spreadsheet of past collegiates, and we were trying to track them. We were like, oh, we think Chris Harum is in Stanford, or oh, we think that he's in Glasgow. And then, you know, we'd almost have to Facebook stalk everybody to track them because they move, you know, like once a year to another job or something, you know. So it got very precise in this kind of messy way of just tracking them. So the student membership really should help, but I can reshare that. And again, this is mostly just MSU, unfortunately, because I haven't gathered the membership lists of other, like of MCC and Western. DCC is very new, but I can share that. It's just kind of messy, not messy looking, it's just like perfect, but yeah, that was a huge problem. I think the wife and our committee talked a lot about.
Yeah, and I know you and I have had conversations. I just feel like we're missing some membership opportunities there because we're unaware of who was in collegiate that now is transferred. He could be in another different county or whatever.
I hear you.
So guys, there was a good question asked, and just because we're gonna replay this and people won't be able to read the comments, I would just wanna read it to you and the answer. So Susan asked, is agent payment something that needs to be authorized by the board each year, or is it an automatic payment because of a contract? And Scott answered, it is a great question. It's a payment you can submit without approval of your board since they approved the contract. But approval of the contract is an important part of the question. So basically, once you have it established, it just becomes something you do every year until the contract is changed, if it's changed. So, and it's also a good thing to, show on your budget and your financial report when you're communicating with your members.
And also if that budget,
Great question, Susan.
if the budget is approved by your board, then that's basically approval to pay them.
Yes.
Any other questions?